Welcome back to the podcast. It's episode 363. We are cracking on now. And today we are going to be taking questions and discussion points from our YouTube audience. So we'll pick up on whatever questions come in, as well as thinking about what will reselling look like in 10 years from now. That's the question I'm asking at the start. 10 years from now. Have a think about it. We'll see you on the other side.
Hey, I'm Car Boot Chris. I'm a full-time UK online reseller. I operate mainly on eBay and also Whatnot, but also some other platforms as well. I'm going to bring you regular podcasts all about reselling, hopefully to keep you company, to entertain, or maybe to educate. Who knows? Welcome to the Everything Reselling podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another podcast. I hope you're all well. For those of you watching on YouTube, welcome. If you're listening back on one of the podcasting channels like Amazon and Spotify and all that kind of stuff, then thank you for downloading and listening. I really do appreciate it. It helps a lot, especially if you do download the podcast. It is free, don't cost you anything. For those who are new, my name's Car Boot Chris. I have a YouTube channel called Cookie and the Haydens, and I'm a full-time reseller. I pick up stuff from car boot sales, charity shops occasionally, online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, wholesale clothing, all that kind of stuff, really. Loads of different places. I don't limit myself, but I tend to resell items. I flip them online on eBay predominantly, also Whatnot, hopefully Vinted very soon. And that's me, basically. I thought it'd be a good idea to do these podcasts to reach a bit of a different audience, especially those listening. And today, I think I wanted to open up the floor like we have been doing in Series 3. Open up the floor. Anybody watching at the moment got a question for me, a discussion point, or any comments, put them in the live chat now. But I wanted to think about what will this reselling game look like in 10 years from now. And I think 10 years from now is like a pretty realistic timescale to look at because, believe it or not, yes, I know I don't look it, but I'm 45. Am I 45? Yeah, 45. You forget when you get over 40, you stop counting. But yeah, I'm 45. So in 10 years' time, I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm still going to be a reseller because I don't see myself going back to a regular job anytime soon. So I would hope that I'm still doing all right at reselling. And I'll be too young at 55 to retire unless I win the lottery or something. But I'm going to be too young to retire. So if I'm still a reseller in 10 years' time at the age of 55, what would it be like? I mean, is it just all going to be about live selling because that's where it's going at the moment? Or what will eBay be like then? I mean, fees will probably be about 50%. We'll probably be paying half our fees to half our earnings to eBay, won't we? I mean, if Vinted come along, maybe Vinted will have wiped the floor with eBay and eBay will no longer exist. Imagine that in 10 years if eBay wasn't even around. It doesn't even feel realistic to think in that way. What do you think in the chat, guys and girls? Let me know. 10 years from now, have a think about what age you will be and where you think reselling will be. Limelight Vinty on YouTube says, I hope eBay doesn't go. Well, of course I do as well. eBay is my biggest income. I've got multiple income streams. It's a good idea to have multiple income streams, but eBay is by far my biggest income stream. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon, but 10 years is a long time. That's a long time for things to change. Who knows? In 10 years, could Whatnot be as big as it is in the US right now. I think Bell tuned into an American Whatnot show yesterday or the day before by accident. I think like somebody raided an American stream, and there was over 1,000 viewers, 1,000 people watching that stream on Whatnot. Now we're not even the biggest Whatnot streamers in the UK are nowhere near that. 200 maybe is a high number in the UK for a streamer to have on Whatnot. 200, but over 1,000 people watching. So maybe in 10 years, Whatnot will be big. Who knows? At the moment, I think Whatnot is on the edge. It's either on the edge of greatness or it's on the edge of failure. It's right on that line. It's a fine line, isn't it? And I think this year, Whatnot, in my opinion, will go one way or the other. It will either die a death in the UK or it could take off. And who knows which way that's going to be? I really don't know. Whatnot were doing a live seller chat the other week. In fact, I think it was last week. Or it might have been this week. I don't know. The days merge into one. Whatnot were doing like a live seller chat, and I put a question in which promptly got ignored. Basically, I just put in the question: when are you going to do some real advertising in the UK? Some actual mainstream media advertising, and not social media, and not your sellers promoting the site, because 99% of people do not know what Whatnot is. It's mainly known in and around the reselling circles, because a lot of people go on there to buy to resell, which is fine. But Joe Blogs doesn't know about Whatnot. Joe Blogs are not buying on the site, and that is the main issue right now with Whatnot. If they can crack that, if they can get it out into the mainstream media, mainstream advertising, I'm talking TV ads. That's the only way, in my opinion, Whatnot are going to crack it. TV advertising. It's the only way that they might be able to crack it and be the next big thing. At the moment, I think it's a really fine line that they are running at the minute. Good evening to everybody who's in the YouTube chat. Thank you for joining me. Limelight Vinty says, it would be nice if you could just take a photo and AI completes the listing. You know what, Limelight Vinty? I actually think in 10 years that could be a reality. It could be a lot sooner than that, you know. Genuinely, I do, because they're already it's already coming up with descriptions for you on eBay, isn't it? And look how far this AI stuff has come in just 1 year or 2 years. Like, AI's come a long way and it's moving fast, isn't it? In 10 years' time, that will probably be quite far down the line, won't it? Either that or we'll have the next apocalypse like Terminator style, where AI is trying to take over the world. Who knows? Who knows what could happen? But yeah, it would be nice if you could take a photo and AI completes the listing. Yeah, surely that could be achievable, I reckon. Secret Carpet on YouTube says, I would say in 10 years, we'll be listing on a lot more platforms other than eBay, but do think eBay will still be top dog. So, okay, Richard Secret Carpet says they reckon eBay will still be top dog. I think you're probably right. I mean, eBay have been top dog. Let's just discount Amazon, because Amazon's a different beast. But eBay has been top dog for over 20 years, hasn't it? 25 years. Buying and selling secondhand online, eBay has been top dog for 25 years. There's nothing to suggest right now that they're not going to be top dog in 10 years' time, but I think they've got challenges coming their way. We all know that, don't we? Challenges on the way for eBay, and it's going to be interesting how they respond to it. Secret Carper has got a question. Does Whatnot tell you the most people you've had in one of your lives? I'm not sure if it does, actually, Carper. When you're running a live, you can see how many are in it, so you kind of make a mental note of like what kind of numbers you're getting. But I don't know. It probably does. You can have a look at your old streams and you can look at some stats. So there might well be a stat that tells you that, but I don't know for sure. I've not seen one. Sophie says, I think eBay defo feels threatened by Vinted because eBay now has 0% on close. Exactly, Sophie. Yes, there's definitely something in that. 100% 0%. Yeah. Also, eBay's not announced it yet, but it's been talked about this week that eBay are changing or going to try and bring in an option, a postage option that's going to be similar to Vinted, whereby when a buyer pays for an item on eBay, the label will be automatically generated for the seller. Now, how that is actually going to work, who's going to pay for it, I assume it's still the seller, which will then make it different to Vinted. But that seems to be a bit of a Vinted sort of steal as well. They're kind of going down that same route of the postage being generated by the buyer. So we'll see how that pans out. But definitely, it's clear to me that eBay are looking at Vinted and seeing what they're doing right and borrowing from them, certainly. Lin says, I think Whatnot had overtaken the charity shops. Oh, okay, Lin. So have you been buying a lot on Whatnot, Lin? Are you buying more on there than in the charity shops? I mean, I've said it quite a lot recently, but I've barely bought anything in the charity shops in the last year. I reckon if I looked at my accounts, I reckon I bet I've not even spent 100 quid in charity shops in the last year. I can't remember the last time I bought anything in a charity shop. It's sad to say, really, to be honest, because charity shopping used to be a big part of my business as well as the boot sales and online stuff. But just very odd now. I used to really love going for a route in charity shops, but now when we're out and about, like the other day, a couple of days ago, me and Belle were out and about and we popped in a couple of charity shops, but I look at a couple of things and I immediately get demotivated to look any further because the prices are just so out of reach. I mean, we went in one near us at the weekend, and the first pair of trainers I looked at were £25. So I put it back down. Obviously, I would still pay £25 if I thought it was worth it, but it'd have to be worth almost £100 for me to pay 25. So I put it back down, and then you look through the t-shirts, and it's like £5 for a t-shirt, and then all of a sudden you just stop looking. And I turned to Belle and said, "I'm ready when you are," because the prices are just out of reach, And a lot of the stuff, the pricing that they're putting on things, these are items that are not even that special. Sometimes a Primark t-shirt or just a standard pair of, say, Nike shoes that are nothing special, but they put £20 on it because it's got the word Nike on it without actually really knowing the true value of them. Just because it's got Nike on it, there might only be a £20 second-hand pair of trainers anyway. It's a strange thing that the charity shops are going through at the moment, and I bet right now they didn't realize how much they relied on resellers for their income, because I think a lot of us are walking away from charity shops. I'd love to support them more. Limelight Vinty says, I think Whatnot will die in the UK. Maybe in 5 years when we'd be ready for it. So, Limelight Vinty, you think that Whatnot maybe came too early for us? We weren't ready for it in the UK? Perhaps if eBay had gone first and then Whatnot came afterwards, we might have been a bit more mainstream live selling. Maybe they just came a bit too early. And then you've got Tilt as well. Tilt's the other channel, which is very similar to Whatnot. Fluffy Muffin says, I hope in 10 years from now, platforms will be using AI so that you can just upload the photo and the platform fills in the title and the script suggests a price as well. And that would make listing really fast. I mean, it's wishful thinking, isn't it, Muffin? But yeah, we kind of just answered that question, but you added the bit about suggested a price as well, which is interesting. You would think suggesting a price, if there's other items already listed on the platform, that suggesting a price would actually be quite an easy thing for an AI bot to do. But yeah, good suggestion. Sophie says charity shops are so expensive. They eBay the price of things before pricing in the shop front without realizing eBay as a platform has millions of people, but their shop has 500 people coming in a week. Yeah, totally true, Sophie. Yeah. Also, you think about it, charity shops to get these items for free. So there's very little or almost zero cost of goods applied to their items. So you would think that they would take the model of turning over fast, pricing low, turning over fast, because people are constantly dropping off items for them to sell for free. Sometimes charity shops turn people away, or even worse, get picky about what they take off people. There's nothing worse. I was in a charity shop once. A person came in with 2 big bags fulls of stuff, and the charity shop manager said, "Can I have a look through them to see if we want any of the stuff?" Now that to me is even worse than saying, "Sorry, we're full, we can't take any more." To go through somebody's donations that they're willing to give to a charity and say, "Yes, I'll have that. No, I don't want that. Yes, I'll have that. No, I don't want that." I think that's worse than just saying, "I'm sorry, we haven't got room for any more." That's just awful, I think. It's just cringeworthy. It's like, you can't cherry pick. I'm bringing you items for you to sell in aid of your charity. You're not cherry picking from it. No, thank you. You either take it or you don't. Limelight Vintage says, how would the delivery options work for sellers who offer free postage? Surely the seller can send it how they want if it's free. I haven't got a clue, to be honest, Limelight Vintage. I mean, when eBay introduced this option for, is it called simplified postage or something like that? I know Married to Reselling on YouTube, I'd done a bit of digging on it. I can't remember what it was called now, but yeah, I don't know. I guess we just got to wait on that one and just see if this new postage system, how it works, who it applies to. Can you opt out? Are there any little quirks in it that make it difficult for you as a seller or a buyer? And I guess once we know all the information, we can make an informed decision as to whether we opt out or we opt in. You know what I mean? Lin says, I haven't been in a charity shop since before I fractured my pelvis October last year. I'm sorry to hear that, Lin. Hope you're okay now, on the mend. Also watching dumpster divers and seeing all this stuff they chuck out. And yes, you've bought quite a bit on Whatnot. A lot. Dumpster divers. Yeah, that's becoming a bigger thing, isn't it? Lots of them on YouTube and more in the UK as well. We know some famous ones, don't we? Drink and Dive Dumpster Divers. Shout out to the YouTube channel. Jeff has got a good point. Buy high, sell low. I think you go bust, Jeff, if you do that. Give us any discussion points you want to talk about in the chat. In the meantime, if you're listening to this on one of the audio channels, I really do appreciate it. Maybe you're on Amazon, Alexa, Spotify, Apple Music. If you're on any of those or any of the more unusual sort of smaller platforms, don't forget to hit that download button. It really, really helps me as a creator of podcasts on those channels. It's really important to have the download button pressed because that's how I'm measured according to those platforms, downloads. So if you just hit the download, it is free. And then every time I upload a new podcast, it will automatically download to your device for absolutely nothing. So yeah, keep those questions coming, guys, in the chat. 10 years from now, will I get, because I'm, as a former police officer, I have like half a pension coming to me at some point. So I'm not sure. I can't remember which year it is. I'll get like half a pension either when I'm 55 or 60. I hope it's 55. I need to check that actually. Next time I get my pension report, I'll have a look at that because I'll get the equivalent of like a part-time wage when that comes through. And that'll help subsidize sort of any reselling stuff that I'll be doing. I could even go as a part-time reseller because I'll have a part-time pension coming in, which will be nice. But I need to check the year on that because that could coincide with 10 years from now. Oh, I could live the life of luxury soon with that. Yeah, whatever. And a part-time average wage in the UK. But I did put into that, so I do want to get paid out on it as well. Cost me a bloody fortune. Police pensions. You know, police pensions are great, or they used to be great. I'm not sure if they're as good now. But it did cost me a bloody fortune to pay into it. Zebu on YouTube said, I feel eBay is going to butcher this simple delivery BS. You know what, Zebu? I don't want to say I agree with you because I want to keep an open mind. But whenever eBay implements something, always tends to either be overcomplicated, broken, or just badly thought through. Or badly executed as well. And I hope they get it right. I hope they think carefully about how it all works logistically before they implement it. I'm sure they will. They can't be that silly, can they? But yeah, right. I'm kind of with you on this that when it comes in, it will probably be a mess. It will probably have people up in arms because they don't know what to do. People will be, threatening to leave the platform. You remember managed payments when that came in? It's a good thing now, managed payments. It works well. It works brilliantly, to be honest. But it's when it first come in, so many people panicked about managed payments. And yes, I think it was a little bit sort of problematic when it first started, teething problems, but now it's fine. So they never really seem to do things the easy way, do they? And it'll probably be broken when they start. But let's hope it's a good thing. I'm really interested to hear the ins and outs of it, the detail of how it's going to work. That's what I want to hear. Secret Carper's got a question. If you were just starting out on eBay, would you promote your items? With the knowledge that I have now, yes, I would promote. I don't think I promoted when I first started on eBay, but there's a lot more information now about promoted listings. But I think it's a necessity these days to promote your listings. I've tried turning my promoted listings off and my sales just die a complete death. And I'm talking like a complete death. I turned off my promoted listings earlier this year and I literally had the worst few weeks sales of my entire professional reselling on eBay. And that includes when I was part-time at the start. I was doing less than part-time money for a few weeks because I turned promoted listings off. I mean, this wasn't just a seasonality change. This wasn't just a non-payday week. This was shocking. Like, I'm talking really low. Like, I could not continue like that. So I had to switch them back on, and now we're kind of back to normality now, like average sort of sales. But the minute I turned them off, it was terrible, really terrible. I couldn't sustain it. A lot of people don't promote, which I really find interesting and good for them if you can get away without promoting and still have good sales. But I guess the thing that I always think about is, right, you're not promoting, but you've got sales that you're happy with. But then I always think, what if you promoted? I mean, I'm not here trying to give eBay more money and tell everyone to give eBay more money, but if you've got good sales, what if you actually turned on promoted, even at a low rate? Would you get amazing sales? I don't know. Maybe you would. It's hard to know if it works or not sometimes, other than when you turn it off like I did and I knew that it worked. But sometimes you just don't know, because you don't know if you turn it off, if you would have got the sales anyway. If you turn it on, who knows? It's very difficult. There's so many variables selling on eBay. It's hard to get a baseline to compare to, because you've got seasonality to put into that. You've got the quality of the goods you're currently listing to put into that. All kinds of things. Jeff has got a question here on YouTube. Thank you, Jeff. Do you see a fair mix of new sellers at boot sales, or are they mostly the same people selling at the same types of things? I think there's a very good mix, Jeff. Certainly at the boot sales local to me, or the ones that I go to, definitely a mix. You always see the same ones. There's a hardcore of traders, or people who just do it on a regular basis, but maybe don't call themselves traders. We know those people. But I would say at my local boot sale, I would say on a good Saturday or Sunday, it's probably 30% of regular traders, or the same people, and 70% of people I've never seen before, or just do it occasionally. You know what I mean? I have noticed recently, there appears to be an uplift of people who are new to doing car boot sales. Why that is? Could it be the economy, people wanting to earn a bit of money? Maybe people have seen videos on YouTube and decide, oh, you know what, I might try and sell some of my stuff at a boot sale. I don't know. Or word of mouth, people have, told them, friends, family have said, oh, I earned £200 at the boot sale the other day selling me old crap. And, they go down there, sell their stuff for the first time ever. I heard a few conversations. I think I said this on Monday night's show. I heard a few conversations at my local boot sale just this week where there seemed to be certainly a higher number of people who have never, ever done a boot sale before. So, yeah, definitely more. I guess it depends what boot sale you go to. Everyone's different. But at my local ones, 70-30 to new or unregular people. Limelight Vinty, I think you could draw down some pension at 55, but I think they're raising it to 57. I'll have to check Limelight. Yeah, I'll have to check. I think it depends, which pension you were in at the time. There's a new pension now, isn't there, in the police? Whereas I paid in 13 years to the old pension. So I think I'm stuck into whatever the time period is on that one. Jeff says 55, 57, I have to wait until I'm 62 or 66 for full benefits. It depends on your pension, Jeff, here in the UK. Police pensions is when I joined, it was a 30-year pension. So I joined at 25. So that meant I was paying my pension. I could have retired at 55 if I'd have stayed in the police. Oh, bloody hell. I could have retired in 10 years on a full police pension. I could not be. In 10 years' time, if I'd have stayed in the cops, I could have just retired on a really nice police pension, a nice lump sum, and probably about, at least right now, at least sort of 30 grand 25 grand a year or 30 grand a year. I would not have to really do anything. I could just live a life. But I left and I'm better for it mentally. So I'll take that one. Let's just go through the chat here. Paul Rose on YouTube says, have you heard the rumor that some promoted listings are not showing due to ad blockers? Muddies the waters even more if true. I've not heard that one, Paul, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's true. I think some ad blockers could do that for sure. I don't use an ad blocker, so I'm not 100% on whether that's right or not. But it's interesting to know. The thing with promoted listings, and I don't know if everyone actually knows this, but up until they split promoted listings into 4 parts, because promoted listings is in 4 now. It used to just be 1 promoted listing. Now it's promoted listings advanced, off-site ads, and pay-per-click. That's the 4 now, so it's different than what it used to be. But when you paid for promoted listings a little while ago, you were paying for not just being high in search results. That was just one part. You were actually paying for something like 60 different placements across the eBay world, and that's like global on different sites as well. So you were paying for 60 different positions on the eBay sites. So high in search was one. And then you'd have a slightly lower promoted listing search, which was not at the top, but the next one down. And you'd have other stuff, other positions, like when you check out and buy something, you might see some other items, like something similar, like being promoted on the page. Or when you're looking at an item description, if you scroll further down, you'll have other placements of items that you might interest you, and those are also promoted listing spots. And there's loads more, even like on the home page, in Google searches, in stuff like that. There was something like 60 different placements, and that's what you were paying for. A lot of people just say, oh, promoted listings, if it's a rare item, you don't need to use promoted listings because you'll just come up high in search. But my argument to that is, yes, that is true. If it's a rare item, there's only one listed on eBay, and someone searches for it, you're going to be high. But what if somebody is buying a similar item? If you use promoted listing, that rare item could appear underneath it. It could appear at checkout. It could appear if somebody's looking for something on Google Ads, or even just doing a Google search trying to find it. So just because an item's rare, it doesn't mean you shouldn't use promoted listings, because it appears in so many more different places than just search results. It goes much wider than search results. Jeff says, don't dwell on what could have been with your police pension had you stayed. I have some of the same regrets for leaving the Navy. Yeah, I don't regret it anyway, Jeff, really. I'm just saying, don't regret anything, Jeff, is what I say. You wouldn't have done it any different. If you had to do it again, you wouldn't have done it any different. You'd have made the same choices based on the same real life decisions that you needed to make at the time. You'd have done exactly the same thing. And that's what I always say. There's no regrets in life. You can't regret anything. But it would have been nice to retire at 55, wouldn't it, on a police pension? Fletch1 said, I noticed that eBay had the ad blocker activated and I did not request it. What does that mean, Fletch1? eBay had the ad blocker activated. I did not I don't know what you mean with that. Just give us an explanation. We've got a comment here from Elias. Is that Elias? Thank you for tuning in anyway. Love your podcast. Always listen on my way to work. Oh, that's nice. Thank you very much. This is the first time I managed to catch you live. At what stage did you decide to go full-time reselling? Okay, so 2015, I started my business on eBay and stuff. I was part-time, and I always thought I would be forever part-time because I was quite happy being a full-time normal job and doing eBay and reselling as a side hustle. It was a really nice side hustle actually because it was paying for some nice holidays every year, and it was just taking like the pressure off of work so much. But I kind of, when I got to 2019, in my job that I was working at the time, my full-time job, um, things weren't going the way I liked, the way I wanted. We had some conflict at work. They weren't very respectful of me, and so it kind of made my decision for me to leave. And I thought, right, this is it. This is my opportunity. I can hand my notice in. I can not work here anymore, and I can give it a proper go as a full-time reseller. And because I'd been doing it part-time for 4 years, I'd actually built up quite a nice little pot of money in my bank account to to make me feel a little bit secure in case the first few weeks, months were tough. Um, and yeah, I had to work hard, probably really hard for the first 6 months going full time because I wanted to make sure that I was absolutely ready to do it and that I had enough money going into my bank account to pay all my bills because at that point I wasn't really sure how much I needed to live. So yeah, the first 6 months were kind of twitchy bum, like, is it going to be all right or is it not? But it was fine in the end, and I think it was really good that I had money behind me that I'd saved up whilst being a part-time reseller. I think that's really important. Not everybody has that. Some people just jump in and go for it, and that's fine. I think you have to work a little bit harder when you do that because you've got to figure out what you need to live. So yeah, that's why I decided to go full time. Things weren't panning out well in my normal job, and I just thought, sod it, let's do it. I've got enough knowledge, I can do it, and I did, and I'm still here now, 5 years later, still full time. So I'm still doing all right. Each year that I've been full time has been slightly better than the previous year income wise. So that's good. I've shown growth every single year of 5 years. Um, so yeah, it's been all right. It's been all right. I think this year, I just get the feeling this year is going to be more challenging than last year. I did really well on Whatnot last year as one of the early adopters of Whatnot, but I feel like this year, because Whatnot seems to be falling off a little bit, I feel like this year might be more challenging than last year in terms of the amount of income that I'm able to earn. So yeah, we're going to see. And eBay's so up and down at the moment. It is a little bit worrying. Oh, Fletch One says no adverts displayed on my eBay homepage. Oh, okay. So what Paul, was it Paul? Paul Rose said earlier could have some merit then, that the ad blockers are causing some of that. Interesting though. Thank you for letting us know. But I've not noticed anything because I don't have an ad blocker anyway. Paul, talking to Paul says, my job became toxic and less profitable after 17 and a half years, had to get out. Not sorry, but I do miss stable wages, to be honest, especially the way the site is working these days. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, Paul. I can understand totally where you're coming from. I'll tell you what I miss. I miss a stable wage. That's nice. I miss, I say that, but I pay myself the same amount every month, but it'd be nice to maybe pay myself a bit more. I miss a stable wage. I miss paid holidays. I mean, 6 weeks a year, paid holidays. You normally get some kind of pension or even healthcare benefits sometimes. And what else? Sick pay. When you're poorly, you can just go off sick. You don't have to worry about working. At the moment, if I'm feeling really poorly, which I don't that often, touch wood, feel that poorly, but I just have to battle through, or maybe just have a day of like self similar. I've got to be doing something because postage still has to go out and stuff. So yeah, I think I miss those things. I do miss those things. I would never ever rule out going back to a normal sort of day job, but I can't see it right now. I don't know if I would cope going back to a normal job and, you know, going to a place of work, and dealing with all that again. I can't see myself doing it, but who knows where life takes you, and who knows what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, and who knows? That's it. You can't say that you can. I would. I don't want to, but you can never say never because you don't know what's around the corner, do you? I totally get where you're coming from, though, Paul, with that one. Husty said, I did it because I didn't want to be responsible for anyone else. I knew I could make a go of it, and I've been doing it for over 10 years. I'm not tech and sports, but I'm fighting on. Yeah, well, all you can do is do your best, Husty, and we're all different, aren't we? Like how much we need to earn, how much we want to earn. There's a big difference, isn't there? There's between what you need to earn and what you want to earn is a massive difference, and we're all motivated differently. Like some people like want to be the next biggest reseller in the UK. Some people want to like work like a machine and just not stop. Work. I'm working. I get up at 6 in the morning and I just list until 9 o'clock at night, and then I get up the next day and do it all over again. Or I must list 50 items an hour, or my day's ruined. Or that's my. I have these targets, and yeah, everyone's different. If that's what floats your boat, if that's what gets you motivated, that's fine. Some of us just are happy just to have like a normal income, an average UK income. But it all depends what your bills are. Depends what you need to pay. Depends what's going in and out. Some people don't have a mortgage. Some people do. Some people have a massive rent to pay. So I get it. Everyone's situation is different. But we don't all want to be eBay millionaires. Some of us are just happy, just plodding along, earning what you need to have a nice life. And there's a lot to be said for that, in my opinion. Husty said it would have to be a really good job to entice me back to any workplace. I'm with you on that, Husty. Totally with you on that. It would have to be an amazing job for me to go back to work, or something catastrophic happens in my reselling life that means I don't have a choice. But yeah, it would have to be something really, really good. I've got too used to working at home and the routines that come with working at home, and not having all the stress of working with other people and in another workplace and stuff. Um, yeah, I don't think I would easily do it. Babs, welcome to Babs in the YouTube chat. Age gives you a different outlook. I'm happy to make what I need. 10 years ago, sorry, I work 24/7, but it's time to slow down. Yeah, I understand that, Babs. Totally. I think in my 20s, all I wanted to do was like earn some really good money, and I don't think I actually had a job that was ever going to achieve me that. At 25 I joined the cops. Prior to that, I didn't have any any sort of big earning job, but I wanted to earn good money. But yeah, my motivations were different in my 20s than they are now. I think when stuff happens in life, shit happens, doesn't it? And it does make you take stock of where you're going and what's important. And spending all my day working is definitely not what I want to be doing. I want to be able to work to fund a lifestyle rather than the opposite way around. Fletch one. Do you want to be an eBay millionaire? No, I do not, Fletch, because to be an eBay millionaire means I'd have to be working very, very hard. And it probably means I'd have to employ staff. I'd have to get a warehouse. I'd have to, do all that grown-up stuff, and it means I'll be working a lot harder with a lot more stress, and I don't want it. I'm all right, thanks. I'm okay. I'll keep playing my lottery every week, and one day it might come up, and that'll do me for now. But that's it. I don't want to be an eBay millionaire because it doesn't come easy. Anybody who's a millionaire from eBay works bloody hard and works a lot of hours and probably works non-stop with a big team, and that sounds like hard work to me. Long story short, is it true that the cops in the UK don't have guns? Not regular cops, Rob. Firearms officers have guns, but regular cops do not have guns. Certain regular cops will have tasers, but only trained cops. Not every cop has a taser. Every single cop will carry CS spray, spray that you put in people's eyes. Every single cop carries those. That's a standard. So that is actually, CS spray is actually a form of firearm because of the way the nozzle is made at the end. It actually is a firearm. So yeah, if you catch somebody who's carrying like CS spray, they're actually carrying a firearm. Believe it or not. Uncle Albert in the chat. Wow, we've got an absolute legend in the chat. Uncle Albert's in. What if Elon Musk buys eBay and runs it into the ground? Just thinking of what kind of catastrophic things could happen to the reselling businesses. Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, he seems to be trying to run Twitter into the ground, doesn't he? But there is other platforms, and if eBay died tomorrow, then the other platforms would gain a lot of business, wouldn't they? You know, like Vinted, Depop, whatnot. They'd all have a flood of people coming in because all these people who run businesses on eBay would all have to try and sell on other platforms more than what they currently do. So yeah, it would be something that I hope never happens, though, Uncle Albert. Or we could just do what you do, Albert, and that's just go down the market with a couple of suitcases and flog a load of gear on the market. Hooky Street, innit? Babs says to Paul, I love working, but my eBay suits me now as health is not brilliant. I'm sorry to hear that, Babs, but it kind of suits, doesn't it, when if you do have some health issues, you know, working from home, working eBay, bringing in a little bit of money, even if you can't do it full time, is better than nothing, isn't it? Long story short, Rob says, so basically cops in the UK are shopping mall security. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You're not wrong there. They get treated like it as well by the general public, unfortunately. Mall, was it Mall Cop, where he goes round on the Segway? Uncle Albert says, I think you are right about the other platforms picking up. People are going to sell somewhere, somehow. Yeah, totally. And at the end of the day, there are places you can sell in person. We've got boot sales, markets. You can do garage sales. You know, you can sell in somewhere or another. You can sell on Facebook Marketplace. All these places would definitely increase in footfall or user base. People would go somewhere for sure. Uncle Albert says Chris Blart, car boot cop. Oh dear, oh dear. Talking of AI, have you listened to the AI song that I created? I put it out before on our YouTube channel. What did I call it? Trash into cash in trash into cash. I forgot my own name of a song. Yeah, that was made by AI. I just put some prompts in of, you know, what kind of things I wanted in the song, and then bang, really interesting boot sale song came out of it, and that's what I uploaded to YouTube earlier. So yeah, feel free to go and have a listen. It's fun. I put some good footage with it as well. George's Treasure Shed, welcome to YouTube, the show. I've got a normal job full-time and part-time reselling and love both. Perfect balance. Earning what we need for bills, plus a bit more for savings and holidays. Well, that's it, George, isn't it? I always say that if you've got a job and you're doing eBay as a side hustle, that's almost the nicest way to do it, to do eBay, isn't it? Because you've got that security of a normal job, and especially if you're happy with it, then that's brilliant. Um, but to have a side hustle, I think it's almost a must, unless you're like earning really good money in your normal job. Like, but to have a side hustle is great because it becomes a bit of a hobby, and a hobby that earns you money is even better, isn't it? So yeah, I always really enjoyed doing eBay as a side hustle when I was a full-time worker, and it paid for some lovely holidays. And that was the aim when I first started as a reseller. My aim was to just pay for 2 holidays a year for me and the missus, and I was happy at that. I earned more than that as a part-timer, which was why when I went full-time, I had money in the bank, which was perfect because it really helped me start up. Paul said, I was about to look at Poshmark, then they shut in the UK and Australia. UK and Australia, typical. Yeah, but this is where I was saying before about Whatnot could go the same way as Poshmark, because Poshmark's main downfall, in most of our opinions, was that they failed to advertise sufficiently in the UK. They didn't advertise in the mainstream media. They relied on their sellers promoting the platform on social media. They relied on giving out free money to spend to new users, and it didn't grow it fast enough. And guess what? This is what Whatnot are doing. The same thing. They are relying on their sellers to promote their platform. If they're not careful, could go the same way. I'm just waiting for the day that we see some TV ads for Whatnot. If that happens, Whatnot could be huge, absolutely huge. If it doesn't, I don't know. And I like selling on Whatnot, I really do. Last year, I had a belting year selling on Whatnot. I really did. I was one of the early adopters, and I did really well. Really well. It's gone off a bit this year. It's gone quieter this year for sure. But yeah, I want to see them succeed, but I don't know. I'm not in charge. Baz the dev says, "Isn't there too much aggro for a side hustle?" I don't think so, Baz. No, I don't think so. I think doing eBay. Don't forget, as a side hustle, you're likely to have considerably less um, like listings, or you might only operate on one marketplace. You know, you're not reliant upon it, so therefore, as a side hustle, you might not need to list every day. You might only list once a week, twice a week. You might not have to post every day. You're not under pressure, are you, as a side hustle? That's the difference. Whereas as a full-time job, you're under pressure to bring in the money. So I don't think there is, because you can just put on your holiday settings whenever you want as a side hustle. But as a full-timer, you got to think about it. You're going to put holiday settings on. You got to think about it. You know, what am I going to do while I'm away? What listings are going to go up while I'm off? Whereas when it's a side hustle, you're not that bothered. You know, it's fine. I'll have a week off and not bother listing anything. No one, you don't care so much. Jeff says, when I first heard that song, I wondered how you were going to get around content matching flags. It is a catchy tune, Jeff, isn't it? It's completely royalty free. Everything created um, by the app thing that I used for that is all royalty free. I could effectively I could upload that to Spotify as an artist, couldn't I? Like an AI artist. I don't know if they allow AI songs or not, but I could do, and I could earn all the royalties from it. Not that there would be any, because it's not that good. George says, I'm motivated by money but understand the importance of family. I have my supervisor course in July, and eBay I can put as much or as little time in as I want, as I know the bills still get paid. Exactly, George, exactly that. Yeah, you can turn it up or you can turn it down as it suits you. Like if you're busy like thinking about your course for being a supervisor, then you can scale back on the eBay and you're not worried because you're not reliant upon it. And I think that makes it a perfect side hustle, in my opinion. Paul said, I think that's eBay's main problem still, not marketing to new buyers. It could turn things around. So I don't know, Paul. eBay do a lot of advertising, in my opinion. A lot of TV adverts, and they sponsor a lot of different sort of TV shows. I don't know if they're on Love Island this year or not, or if it's at Vinted, but they've definitely sponsored Love Island in the past. But I see a lot of adverts on TV for eBay. So I think eBay do plenty of advertising. But we've discussed it before. The main issue, in my opinion, in getting Joe Blogs to sell on eBay is the complicated nature of listing on eBay. They make it so difficult. They make it so long-winded. It's like if it's a toss-up between a 2-minute listing on Vinted and maybe getting a little bit less money for your item, or a 20-minute listing on eBay, then most people are going for the Vinted option, aren't they? Because it gives them their time back. And if you're just a casual lister, then time is really important because you've probably been working all day and you don't have the time to sit for 20 minutes to do one listing on eBay. You want to bang on 10 listings in 20 minutes, and that is where Vinted is succeeding. George's Treasure Shed says it's not an aggro at all. It's easy to fit it all in. Car boots and charity shops get turned into family time. Yeah, I think it helps if you enjoy charity shops and car boots. If you enjoy trudging around them and looking for bargains, then it's not really like work, is it? And that's kind of the way I see it when I'm doing car boots at a weekend. Don't really see it as work, even though it is work time. And if I was to work out like how many hours in a week I do, then you'd have to put your car boot time in. But whilst you're there doing it, doesn't really feel like work, does it? Have your AI genie make you a Grammy-winning song next time. Jeff, I'll tell you what you should do. Send me some prompts and we'll see if it can make a song about Santa. For those who don't know, Jeff is the real Santa. And I'm not spoiling anything by saying that, but Jeff is the real Santa. Send me some prompts on a text and I'll see if it can make a Santa song for you. Fletch says, just had a peek at your trash into cash tune. Can understand why artists are kicking off about AI. Yeah, I mean, it's so good. It's so clever, Fletch. It's so clever. Husty says, I think eBay has lost its way. It's a trust issue from both the buyers and sellers' perspective. Yeah, I do think they have lost their way a little bit, Husty. And I think that's showing in like the kind of changes that they're bringing in, their lack of communication with us as sellers. Yeah, things like putting that that was ridiculous. That little new fee that they added, 0.35% or something, was ridiculous. And they tried to dress it up as some other reason as to why they added that fee. It was a bullshit reason. And every single one of us could see through that eBay press release. It was absolute bollocks, if you excuse my language, people. It was rubbish. And it's just an excuse to add another fee. So yeah, I understand that. And I think it shows that eBay is struggling a little bit at the moment because our sales are all over the show. Like one week it's great, and the next week it's terrible, and it's such a roller coaster. It's always been a roller coaster, but at the moment it seems to be so up and down, so random, that it does make you wonder how sustainable it can be. Lin says she prefers buying than selling. It's what puts me off selling, Chris, says Lin. Limelight Vinty says, do you prefer sourcing alone? I quite like it when Belle comes with me. For those listening who don't know who Belle is my wife, and she's quite good at sourcing. She's quite good at spotting things. She operates a little bit differently when we go sourcing. She will spend more time at a store, whereas I tend to scan it really quickly and move on to the next one. But she'll spot things that I didn't see. So I quite like it when Belle comes, because I end up finding more things and she ends up spotting things that I didn't spot. But on the whole, I'm quite happy just to trudge about on my own. But it generally ends better when Belle comes, because she does find some good stuff. Santa says, AI Genie, write a song about grandma getting run over by a reindeer. Okay, I'll try that one, Santa, and I'll let you know how it goes. I'll try and remember. Send me a message. Send me a private message, and I'll try and do that one. Paul says the best thing that eBay could do is scrap promoted listings and raise the basic fees across the board, giving a level playing field again. But they'll never admit it's been a failure, unfortunately. They'll never do that, Paul. I think it's earning far too much money for them. I don't think they'll do that. They won't see it as a failure, I don't think. Santa says, always good to have an extra set of eyes looking at stuff you might have missed. Yeah, totally. I think that's why I quite like it when Belle comes, because that's two of us who know what we're looking for. Belle knows the kind of stuff that I like to find, and she'll look for it as well. And she'll spend ages at one stall, like looking through stuff, and I'll have done a whole row by the time that she's still at that same stall. So yeah, there is that. Anyway, we're coming to the end of the podcast today. I hope you've enjoyed the chat. We've had some interesting chat about eBay and what life is going to be like as a reseller in 10 years' time. Who knows? I just hope it's not majorly different from now. I hope it's better. I hope we're earning more money, obviously, but without having to work as hard. Maybe that's where AI comes in. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see where AI gets involved in the reselling scene, other than making daft songs, which I would encourage you to go and have a listen to when you've finished here. If you're listening on Spotify or any of the other audio apps or channels, then thank you so much for listening. Please hit that download button. If you want to come and see what we're all about on YouTube, you can find me by searching for Cookie and the Haydens. Cookie and the Haydens. That's who you're looking for. There's also a link in the description of this audio podcast where you can just click it and come straight to us on YouTube. So it would be great to have a few more people that listen just come over onto the live podcast on YouTube as it's being recorded. So I really do appreciate everybody coming and joining the chat. Thank you all so much. It would be great to see you all next week. I don't know what next week's chat will be about, but I'm sure it'll be interesting because you guys make it really interesting, because I never know what you're going to ask, what discussion points you're going to bring up. So thank you for bringing it all to the table today, and we'll speak to you soon. Don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube or download on your audio channel. Take care, and we'll see you on the next podcast. That's it for today's episode of the Everything Reselling podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, to follow, or to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening
to this podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode.